Well, hey guys, welcome to the studio. Today we're going to talk about the new upcoming release from Ollo headphones. These are S4X. They're working on S5X. We have an interview with the owner of the company, Rock Gulick. Let's get to it. You heard it here
Yes.
first as a maybe.
As a maybe,
It's
because
never,
that,
it's
that
never been,
creates a lot
it's
of
never been done.
technical.
And these are the questions that we wanted to ask Rock from Ollo Headphones. They come to us from our Facebook group, Recording Tips. Feel free to pop over there, jump in on the conversation that we're having over there. Let's get to the interview.
Creating headphones in the middle of Europe is kind of a challenging task on its own, but we're managing pretty well. So we've been able to put the S5 together. This is a little more than 2 years old project. So now we do have first batches ready. They're in production, and we will basically start shipping them out next week. Everything changed because we listen to our customers, and when they say something should be changed, we change it. So first thing that changed was the headband. It's a little bit of a different structure. This one has sliders, so you need to adjust them. They still rotate, so they still rotate very easily. It's very kind of like easy to move around.
Right.
It gets harder when they are on the head because of friction. That's how it's made. So if you have it like open, then it's harder to move it.
Right.
But if you have it like in a free kind of. So it's still wood, it's still aluminum, it's still stainless steel, still the same materials. Nothing changed. In terms of the ear pads, they are slightly bigger inside, a little extra there, 0.5 centimeter, so it will be 5 millimeters. I have no idea what that is in inches.
It's like 9 feet. It's like 9 feet thicker.
And 9 feet?
No, I'm kidding.
No, it's definitely not.
Don't listen
feet.
to me.
Transducer, right? Creating sound waves and pressure inside. It's a sealed situation, right? It's not the same as a speaker is. Speaker is open into a room. This is a sealed situation. So the behavior is slightly different. And I'll not go into that kind of geekiness, but I will explain that. Flow resistance is like the most crucial part in headphone. So how much air can escape and how fast it can escape will affect tremendously the frequency response. If you're pushing a lot of air through a little tiny hole, it's still going to leak out, but not as fast. It's going to act as a dampening kind of mechanism. That means that when you're designing headphones with all these holes at the back plates and perforation and so on, you're effectively designing which frequency band is going to be affected and how much. And that's the reason for the change of the back plates. So it's a different flow resistor. We also have a little hole over here, which is for the mounting, right, of the headband. But it's still a hole. It's still a flow resistor. The chassis is completely new. So it's still wood, but with a lot of different design in there. So different acoustics. And also with, again, a different flow resistor than what you guys have over there. So on your headphones, you will have little holes, and it's also angled. So the speaker in there is not flushed anymore. It's now at an angle, which pushes the sound a little bit more forward and gives you a little bit more sound stage. And on top of that, we managed to squeeze in a little bit of conical design over here. It's really hard to show right on the camera, or maybe you can see it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, right? It's coming through nicely, yeah.
Yeah, so that is...
there it is.
The conical design is tested and trusted and true by all the tweeters that you have in your speakers, right? Every tweeter will have a little bit of conical design.
Yeah. What's better about Ollos compared to DT770s? And those are really good standard phones in the studio. But you tell me. I already know the answer.
Hold on to your seats, guys, because my answer will surprise you.
Go, man, go.
The
There's
stage is
nothing.
yours.
There's nothing
Whoa.
better. There's nothing better than whatever you like. So if you're in DT7070s and you love them, hey, give this a try. Give other headphones a try. Of course, that's what you owe to yourself, right? To explore, to try, to see, right? Essentially, there is absolutely no technical reason beyond frequency response, but that is, again, a subjective thing, right? So we can talk for hours. Is our frequency response in F5X better than, I don't know, whatever SonarWorks is selling or whatever Bydynamic is selling? Maybe the 7070s are not their flagship model. They are definitely not the flattest model. They have the 900X, by the way, is extremely flat by all standards. Right? So in terms of flatness, or whatever we would consider flat, you would consider flat, Bydynamic will have a different idea. Sennheiser has a different idea. SonarWorks has a third idea. Dolby will have a fourth idea.
Yeah.
Unless you're actually looking for something that is technically better in a way in terms of frequency response, then absolutely explore like Ollo S4. S5 is even better.
All good headphones are going to give you, like you said, something flat. For me, the word is definition. And I think it has to do with the character of the wood, of the hand building, of the attention to detail. If you're listening to plastic, to me, you're hearing plastic. And I can hear that. So I give a thumbs up to Ollo's for, to me, it's the real sound.
The definition. So what is definition in sound? Why do some speakers have definition and some a little bit less? And then you have this speaker with less definition and you put it into a different room and it has more definition. What just happened? Right? So it's not the technicalities what many companies will try to sell you, right? A different magnet, a different membrane, different technology, whatever bullshit, right?
Right.
Many times, not always, many times. Acoustics are extremely important, right? So in terms how, not just how isolated is your, or sound treated is your room, but it's also how big is your room. That's like number one factor to get down to definition. Definition comes or is the game that we all play, all the manufacturers of any playback device, comes down to the amount of air that is available, the technology that we use in the speaker, how fast it is, how much can it deform while it's moving and so on, right? So not to geek too much. In terms of S5 or what you guys have, S4, if you take a closer look, there is basically zero air leakage from front to the back cavity. And you will have a really hard time finding that kind of design in any headphone. There are some, I'm not going to disclose them, but so that means that the front cavity is completely sealed from the back. Now, what does that mean? There is no bass reflex in terms of speakers, right? There's no vent hole going, which means that everything over here is in phase, right? Because the air from the back does not force or leak into the front. So that helps with definition. The air itself works as a piston, right? So it's similar to what you guys have. You have Marshall cabinets over there. I can see those, right?
Yeah, just a couple.
Yeah. So you have open cabinets with a hole at the back.
Yeah,
or
like
you have a closed
ported bass. You're talking about like vented ported
bass,
like on monitors.
Ported bass for
I mean, you don't have that. You're sealed like you said, a piston in the cylinder.
So that is what was used and is still used in cabinet design, especially for bass guitars. So what happens, and you guys know that, when you have a closed cabinet, how fast is the speaker in a closed cabinet versus a vented cabinet?
slower, I would guess, if it's not
No, it's
vented.
not.
It's
It's faster.
Like a drum. Acoustic
It's like a
suspension.
drum. It's in a suspension. Well, actually, okay. We need to geek out a little bit more.
a little
So
more.
so
Well,
yeah,
I'm right there
if you
with you.
have-
I'm learning.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you have a vent hole at the back, yes, you can push the speaker forward faster because you have less of air behind pulling it back. So you can move it faster. But when it comes back, it will go into a flutter. It will go. It will. The speaker will move, but you will tell it not to move. So the signal will say don't move, but the speaker will still move. So when you have a closed cabinet, the air acts as a suspension, like in a car, right? And it stops it from moving because it's trying to stabilize it. These are like super tiny speakers, and they produce 20 hertz up. That's insane. They produce the full range. That is unheard of,
Right.
So a headphone is a technical miracle in a way, right? So this little tiny membrane, which is like super, super thin, when it gets the help from the air being trapped in the front, in our case, or here, right? It's like more sensible to the signals. You can get more details through because of that, because it's not moving freely in air. So the S5X are 50 ohm. So we went up a little bit. It's a different coil.
That's news. That's news.
Yeah, that's news, right? So that's 50 ohm. In terms of X, it's still at 40, yeah. 30 is great for any portable devices. It's fantastic. You can drive them always, which is a promise we want to keep with the S4X and the S4R model, which are kind of designed for, just moving around. While the S5X is something that will live in your studio. I mean, if you carry this around, then you just bought the wrong product. You need to buy something from Sony. But so now that's the important. or any other company. They're all good.
No.
They're all great. They're all fantastic. I love them all.
Yeah, me too.
And I've bought like many products from all of them. I think I've spent I have no idea, but probably like 20, 30K in headphones from competitors.
Yeah.
In a way, competitors. They're my friends. I love them all.
And thank you for all your answers to all our tough questions. You're doing great. You mentioned earlier SonarWorks, and we also know about systems like the ARC system and Corrective. First off, does your company look into those technologies at all? And do you see any value in that type of corrective technology? And is it something that you might go there?
So that is a tricky question. It's impossible to answer it without making some enemies somewhere. But I will answer it. So in terms of it's a fantastic idea, and it brings extreme value. And I'm not kidding. It brings extreme value to so many engineers. Maybe not so much engineers, more like creators that may not either be able to afford something else or may not have the skill and knowledge to set something right. So it's kind of like a one-button situation with those, which is fantastic and great. And they're making crazy numbers and crazy success, and I wish them all the best. But in terms of all of trying to do anything like that, we might, because we do have our own target curve, which is the Ollo target curve, which was, by the way, developed or is strongly based on Dolby Atmos target curve, which is in the S5X, by the way. So we might try to push the limits there, but it would look something like, hey, you want to buy this? Fantastic. We will do individual measurement of this. So one unit. We'll spend like probably at least an hour measuring this very accurately. and then create a profile for those to get them like spot on our target curve, which would be something very close to Dolby Atmos.
Individually voiced IR for an
Yes.
individual unit. You heard it here
Yes.
first as a maybe.
As a maybe,
It's
because
never,
that,
yeah, it's
that
never been,
creates a lot
it's
of
never been done.
technical-
It's never been done. If it's gonna happen, Rock, I wish you the best. That was a lot of fun. It was over an hour long. I tried to cut it down to the bullet points. Big thanks to Rock from Ollo Headphones. Of course, our headphones expert from our Facebook group, Recording Tips, Mr. Oren Fisher, who owns 3 sets of Ollos. I only have 1 set. Well, absolutely groundbreaking stuff here. Big news on the S5X. Thank you guys for sticking around, and we got a lot of work to do. Let's get to it.